Hello and welcome to Parents Perspective. I'm Amy and with me is co-host Mike. We're here to talk today about communication. It's part of our Speak, our Youth Coalition's education series. And we talked last time, Mike, about indoor and outdoor activities that we can do with our families and kids, regardless of COVID. And in that, we talked about building forts, having campfires, even in the wintertime, or taking walks and board games, or making jewelry, or having a spa day. And I think that today's topic, communication, really fits nicely with that because it creates a platform for us to have conversations with our kids.
Yeah, I agree with that, Amy. It's a lot of times our children expect that when there's going to be big talks, it's going to be this sit down, we've got to discuss this big thing or whatever. And one of the nice things about those activities is that we're having fun, we're excited, we're doing things together. It's out of the ordinary. And then a lot of times, and I can remember back being a youth, being able to have a real conversation outside with family. And so it creates a nice opportunity to open up about things normally we wouldn't talk about because it's not just at our home. It's not that our home isn't a safe environment per se, but we're outside of our norm when we're doing these things and a little bit more relaxed and more fun. And I just think sometimes it just feels when we're in nature, even that it's more natural to have that conversation. What about you, Amy? What do you think?
Definitely. I couldn't agree more. Communication is key to every single relationship. And so I kind of have this little kind of example, I guess, that I wanted to talk to you about. And I want you as a parent, or if you're watching, to reminisce back when your child was maybe approaching 1 year old. So this is the time when communication starts, right? Our kids say their first word. And I want you to remember how you reacted to hearing that. Let's say you're putting away groceries and you're doing your thing, you're home, you're trying to get dinner, you're busy in your routine, and you hear a soft little dada, mama, cake. What happens? You drop everything and you look eye to eye at your baby and you say, "What did you say? You said, you said that word, mama, mama, dada? That's awesome." And you have a face of delight and you are looking at them and you are listening and your undivided attention is on them. You're not distracted. You stop what you're doing and you're listening. So what happens, fast forward to when they're in middle school and you're putting away groceries, you're trying to get dinner, and they're telling you about their day, and they're all chatty, and they're on and on about so and so said this and this happened, and you're like, oh yeah, yep. You're not listening. You're not looking at them. You're not giving them attention. You're not showing a face of joy or interest in their day. So we have to kind of work on that, I think. We have to go back to hanging on their every word because it's so important. So much gets lost in a relationship when there's not that communication. So what do you think about that, Mike?
Like when people get into middle school and high school, I do think that happens. I think a lot of times we find that they're in an awkward stage a lot. They're trying to figure out where they're at in life and like, who am I as a person? What do people think of me? Very image conscious and focused. And I think sometimes it's easy to be just like, you know what, just we'll deal with that later. Like I got other things I got to do. One thing I want to say with one of these lovely devices. Yeah. When you're talking, drop it. Like I don't, one of the things that I cannot stand most is that, but I think even with children, I know a lot of times they want to do that. So when we're outside, I think we do, when you shut down the devices, drop everything else and let's just listen. That doesn't mean that your children have to be like the only thing going on in the world. I mean, like we don't want to raise our children to think that they're the greatest thing ever and put them up on these huge pedestals like they're the only person that exists. But they at the same time need to feel like they're a part of the conversation and, a human being as well too. And sometimes, and I can tell you this personally, a tendency, having grown up in an era that I did, children shouldn't be seen and not heard kind of a concept. I think we carry that in there. Youth nowadays are learning a lot of different things because of technology and other things where it's so important we listen. If we want to model healthy relationships, we've got to model that ourselves, starting out with us being willing to communicate with them and looking at them as somebody worth, that's of value. And seriously, like you're saying, sit down and listen. Now, we don't have to do the Google Gaga per se, but at the same time, that looking at them, listening. Our body language says so much with whether or not we're listening. Are we looking at them like intently, or are we just kind of like, yeah, there he goes talking about school again, whatever. And I just think we got to get to the point where we set the tone first. So from there, Amy, like I know the tone's a part of that and being a part of that. Where do we go from there as far as like the actual discussion, you think?
So, Mike, I loved what you did. You threw your phone. Hope it didn't break, but you're right.
No, thankfully.
Our kids are online a lot too. They're learning virtually. They're online with their friends. So they lose even some ability or time to learn body language or tone of voice. So we're also teaching them communication skills while we are communicating with them. So I think where it starts is learning who your child is now. That friends change, dislikes, likes change. I mean, who's their favorite band? Who's their favorite friend now? What happened during their day? So I think just asking questions and being interested in giving them our attention is first and foremost necessary. So this pretty much wraps it up for this time. We're pretty much out of time, but we'd love to continue this conversation about communication. This is brought to you by Speak, of course, our educational series paid for in part by Region 10 and also local community agencies. So
if you guys get a chance,
talk to you next time.
Thank you. Yes, make sure you check out our other platforms, Facebook, as well as Instagram for the youth as well too. It's so important that you provide us any feedback you can and check those out. If you get a chance, like us, follow us as well. Thanks a lot, guys.